Hello everyone and welcome to another Wurm video. This one's going to be a little bit shorter, but I think it's very important. It's something we're hoping to try in Attuned that should be very strong for our future Wurm attempts. I want to explain the whole concept here so that everybody understands and we're on the same page. So one of the big reasons why some groups do very well against the Wurm, kill him super quick in burn phases, while other groups do quite badly, is simply a matter of power. By that I mean the difference between a Zerg of players who are might stacking, giving themselves 25 might, and all who have, say, 25 stacks of Bloodlust, is a very different Zerg to one with no might and no Bloodlust. Now, might is one thing that you can work on, obviously, just by calling might stacks and making people practice it. But Bloodlust is a little bit tricky. At Tequatl, for example, it's kind of easy. You just get your whole Zerg to run off, grab a bunch of Bloodlust, and then you just fight Tequatl, and it's fine. You're making use of that instantly before people get downed. However, at the Wurm, there is the Escort event. This Escort event will kill a lot of people, and it's a lot of the time not even necessarily down to skill. It's down to the fact that it scales so severely, a grub can literally turn your way on certain classes, spit at you, and you're instantly dead. Like, there is no stun breaking, there is no dodge rolling it. It's a tiny little, almost invisible projectile that you can't see coming, and it just insta-downs you. That happens to a lot of the medium armor classes and a lot of the light armor classes, especially if you're encouraging people to min-max on their DPS. So how do you deal with that? How do you tell everybody to go off, stack a bunch of Bloodlust, but then also complete this Escort event and guarantee you have a full Zerg of people all with 250 extra power or 250 extra condition damage? How can you ensure that? That's what this video is about. Turns out the Escort event, though very, very difficult and can instantly down a lot of players when you've got 50 there, is pretty easy to either solo or two-man. We've been doing a bit of testing. Soloing it seems pretty difficult, quite challenging, honestly. But with just two people, as you can see in the footage in the background, you can quite safely, quite easily kill all of the grub eggs and deal with any enemies that do actually spawn. You're going to see in the footage here, me and my friend, who coincidentally is the same guy who was in the Swelling Winds tutorial, we managed to complete a lot of Cobalt, Cobalt being the longest and arguably sometimes the hardest Escort to complete. We complete it probably faster than 50 men can. We deal with the stuff on the beach, for example, without like a single spawn. I think 1 or 2 enemies spawn on this next wave. That's because you can kill the eggs much quicker and you can watch much more closely where the NPC goes. I've learned a lot about the way these Escorts work. For example, a lot of the enemies only spawn from the eggs, not because they're on some kind of a timer, but it's because the NPC himself walks onto the eggs and pops them, thus spawning the enemies. If you can kill the eggs before he gets to them, then voila, you've just delayed all spawns. And with 2 people just focusing on eggs, as you see we are here, you can very comfortably have 2 people who don't even have to die complete the Escort for your entire Zerg, while everybody else waits nice and safely with their 25 Bloodlusts for the big worms to spawn. I mean, another advantage of this, of course, is that Cobalt here goes way, way quicker as an Escort than I've ever seen it go with 50 men, but the main advantage is you have that huge amount of DPS, especially for the first burn and even more. I tend to find when I'm playing the Wurm event, once you know his animations and in general the way that your encounter works, you're probably not going to die. Where I die most is during the Escort, where there's little I can do about it. If you have good players in your Zerg that are using Swelling Winds correctly or reflections correctly to stop grubs even spawning, and all you have are husks and the worms to deal with, you'll find a lot of your players don't die during the event and carry that full 25 stacks of Bloodlust through to phase 2 without even necessarily needing that as a sigil on their combat weapons for as the event's going on. So this is the idea. Attuned Zergs probably won't be in future actually doing the Escort. Some people will want to. There are achievements to be had during the Escort, but these are non-combat achievements, and I'm sure people can just slip off to grab those if they really want. But as the longer the content has come out, less and less people are going to want to do that stuff. The main Zerg will probably be stacking somewhere near where that final husk spawns, because it's unlikely 2 players, especially if they're not Condi, can deal with it. But basically, you have your main Zerg where that end husk is right at the end of the Escort. They just kill it. There's no risk of them losing any of their Bloodlust. You have quicker Escorts. You have more time for your commanders and the players in those groups to learn about the worms before you finally kick his ass. Obviously, it's not the kind of strat that everyone's going to be able to do. People will want those achievements. People will want to see what the Escorts are like, and you will need some reasonable control over what is essentially 150 players to understand what's happening, but maybe this video will shed some light. The Escort is about to fail on the footage here, and that's because it's only me and my friend doing this right now. The other NPCs are dead. A little warning, if you are like a part of the duo that is attempting to do this, if your NPC does die for 5 minutes, it will fail the entire thing. but I really don't think it's risky. You can see from this footage it's pretty easy. I just went ham, didn't think too hard. I just killed eggs and cleaved them away, and we did absolutely fine. I would also hazard that pretty much any combination of any 2 players can do this. You don't need much micromanagement or aggro setting the people up. You just need people to step up and say, hey, yeah, I'll do the Amber Escort. I'll do Cobalt. I'll do Crimson. And that's the way it works. This will give you huge burns, especially if you stack 25 might after it. And also that much needed DPS in Phase 2. If you've got any questions, leave them in the comments. I'll try to fill people in, and we'll see how this strat works. But there you go, guys. I'll see you next time.